Well, hello friends, and welcome back to a new episode of the TypeScript Tea Time, the second episode in fact today. I have like 2 hours left, about-ish. But in that time, I think we are going to have some more fun with AWS SAM and state machines, or serverless, step functions, and AWS Lambda. And what else do we use? Simple email servers. So a lot of services come together, and we are building a email newsletter notification service essentially. When somebody, so you have your blog, you post a new blog post, and after some time, like at a specific time every day, we check whether there is a new blog post today. If that is the case, we send an email to all your subscribers, your email subscribers. So they can actually read your blog. Hector, hey, good to see you. Welcome back in. Thank you for the bits. How are you doing today? Hope everything is fine. We're doing some more AWS today. In fact, this is the second stream that I'm doing today. What you see here is AWS SAM, serverless application. You are feeling excellent. That is excellent indeed. Cheers to you. Nice and warm. What you currently see here is the AWS SAM, the serverless application model, which is a way to develop well serverless applications, meaning in particular, or it's optimized towards DynamoDB, towards Lambda functions, towards step functions, state machines, all of those, API gateway and event driven, all of those. But you can actually just provision pretty much everything on AWS with it, if I remember correctly. It also helps you set up permissions and roles and all of that fun stuff. So we kind of stepped up from just using the CLI, sorry, the command line interface from AWS, to using this. You might be asking why the shift all of a sudden. The reason being, we now have actual Lambda functions that we need to write. So far, all of our workflows don't even touch AWS Lambda. Here, however, we do not really get around that, because I'm basically fetching from a remote source, doing some parsing on the XML that we receive, and then, well, all of that using JavaScript or TypeScript, and then saying, oh, okay, we do have a new blog post now. This is the new blog post. Pass all this data to the next function so that we can actually send the email and make a decision whether we should send an email. And because we're now writing proper TypeScript and proper JavaScript, including node modules, so external libraries that we use, and we need to compile our TypeScript into JavaScript, bundle everything, and then upload it to AWS, to AWS Lambda to be precise. That's the point where I said we could theoretically, probably, there is a way to just do this completely using the Lambda the Lambda UI or the CLI. But it is not really, it is not designed for these kind of more complex use cases. Here, for example, we had a very, very simple Lambda function which just generated a random number. But as soon as we pull in external libraries, external packages, this is kind of limited in its functionality. So that's why I switched over to, well, doing something local, and serverless application framework SAM is a simple way to do that. In short, we have basically 3 or 4 commands. We have SAM, which is, so it comes with a CLI itself. We basically have the commands SAM build. We have the command SAM validate. So check whether the config is okay. SAM build is basically build the code and package it. And we have SAM deploy, which is deploying the code to AWS. We started at the very beginning with SAM init, boilerplate, or create a new product with boilerplate setup code. Well, boilerplate. These 4 commands help us a whole lot because now it just works basically. We initiated with the TypeScript boilerplate by running. Well, we just ran SAM init and it guides you through the individual steps for setup. And now we just basically always run SAM build down here, and it builds everything. Well, that worked very good. We now have a directory up here, and inside of there we see actually the app.js, which is now just a single function. And theoretically, we could go ahead, take all of this, throw it inside of AWS Lambda, and it would just work. Assuming you do not assuming this is self-contained in terms of no other AWS dependency that you have to set up permissions for and all of that fun stuff. Then we could just copy and paste this. But we do in fact have an external library which is now somewhere inside of here. Don't ask me where exactly, but it is inside of here. Because at some point we do imports. Well, in fact, we do two imports. We have imports of Axios, which is just a way to do HTTP requests from inside JavaScript. And we use XML to JS, which is a way to parse XML into JavaScript objects. Because we are reading an RSS feed, which is a format that comes with most blocks, in fact, or many blocks, let's say. It's like optimized for publishing. It's a publishing format essentially. And if we want, we can look at here, for example, DevTO. If you go to the DevTO, which is like a blog platform essentially for other people to post articles, we can just go to /RSS, and then we have this XML inside of here, which we do download at this point, and then parse. It's normalized, so the items or the format is pretty much the same for all blocks, which is very, very good. Yeah, and all of this gets automatically packaged inside of this JavaScript file, and we do not really have to care about it. Thanks to this configuration, which we do provide in the template YAML. But this was pretty much all of this, at least for the Lambda function, was just from the boilerplate. I did not do anything on this front. And what we do here is we specify we want a Lambda function. They call it AWS serverless function. And we reference this under this key. And we provide the following properties. So take the code from this directory, which we can see right here. And inside of there, take the file app.ts and take the export, which is called, let's see, Lambda handler. That's what this says here. We give it some environment variables, or we inject them. We tell it to run on Node.js 16, 64 bits. And then this metadata is for building, bundling, and most importantly for us, converting TypeScript into JavaScript. Other than this one function, we have our state machine also, our step function also handled with the help of this template YAML. And there we actually reference even the function that we need. We also say that, well, please run this function on a schedule We provide a schedule here, like every day at 4 in the morning. And we give it the permissions to actually access the Lambda function down here, so that our step function can in fact invoke the Lambda function. All right. When we run this, it looks like this. So this is a step function which we have defined inside of this file here. But reading this is kind of annoying. Instead, we look at a graph. Oh, okay, very nice. So we have our start. This has no input whatsoever. So we just start basically with no input. Then we check has new block. So this is Lambda function, has new blog article within the last 24 hours. It's just the way that our use case is structured. You could do something more elaborate. For example, having another DynamoDB or another database where you save up to which point you have actually processed all the new blog posts and then read all the newer ones, but we don't need that for our use case, so that's good. Then we have this, so we call this function, which is exactly this code here, which you can see. Then we have essentially a choice. Do we have a new blog article? And you see that the input that we get here is maybe zoom in a bit. We have this property has new blog article, which is the output of this previous function. Right, like there. And depending on that, we either choose yes or no path. If we have no article, well, there is no article, we have nothing to do, done, finish, complete. If we do have an article, well, in that case, we want to send the emails. Currently, this is just a placeholder, but we will now build the corresponding, well, Lambda function infrastructure. I'm not 100% sure, actually, how we're going to build this to invoke our friend here with all the contacts that we have. So one thing that we actually can do already, I think, is do the following. We go to edit, we go here on the workflow studio, which is the UI editor. And inside of here, I actually want to have list SES on list contact. List contacts. There we go. No, that's incident manager. We want SES, simple email service. And we want V2 actually. Delete contact. I want a list of all the contacts. So all the emails that have subscribed to our newsletter. If you have any questions, by the way, feel free to ask. I'm very happy to answer. There we go. List contacts. I think we take that one. We have to provide a contact list name. Fortunately, we have created the contact list previously, so we just have to specify that contact list name. It is what exactly? Email newsletter? Was that the name? Contact list name email newsletter. Yeah, there we go. Bams. So this allows us to access all the emails that we do have. We probably want to have a little transformation here as well. You cannot see, right? Let me pull myself over to there. So inside of here, we want to transform. So because when we actually send the email, we do need the information that comes with this output from up here. So we have to have the information, what is the actual output. Let me save this for just a second and look at the execution once more. Oops. Like so. because what we see here is that we pass down the new blog article, which we can then use to build a proper email that has like what is the title of this new blog in, for example, the subject line and as a header. Who created the blog? If you have multiple people on the blog, that might be important. The link to the blog, very, very important, because, well, if you get an email notification, you want to directly jump to the web page. You don't want to have like 3 steps actually requiring the user to like go to your blog page, myblog.com, and do stuff. No, you want them to click a button and bams, they're on the page that they want to read, which is the new blog post, because that's what you entice them with, right? We have a globally unique ID, which is not important, I think. We have like a description, so we could like also render a teaser if we wanted to. Not sure if we want that. In other formats, so here we see another category. In other formats, we actually have also the thumbnail, which is very, very useful, because then we can just at the very beginning show a big thumbnail of the new blog, which helps with the design. In particular, if you have a blog that is very much oriented towards visual, like photography and stuff, that will be one important step, and we can do all of that. So we have to, however, pass down this data from the new state that we just added, the list contacts state. To do that, so passing down the input data that we get in, we can go to output, add the original input to output using result path, and then we can do something like $combine original input with result. Yeah. Let me. By default, the state sends its task result as output, so we can say, oopsie, $.output is, I think this is the result. So this function down here, or this state down here, can now, on the one hand, use just $, and I think it's $, well, whatever was defined here, $.new article, or what, I forgot the name exactly. One of the unfortunate points here, in fact, it would be nice to just see the previous output. But yeah, we cannot see that right now. So we do get the output from up here with $.new. Can actually try to do that as well, right? Can we? We can do something like, so we can say article.$ is $. I forgot. You're not the example. We can have this here we go. So $.new blog article, and we have the contexts $, which should be something like $.output. I don't know the specifics just yet. We will run it and then we will see, I guess. So let's save this for a moment and actually try to run it. We do not have the right permissions, which is annoying. You might need to edit the current IAM role, create a new one, or select a different role. That's annoying. How do we do this, ideally? Save. We should be able to see something, shouldn't we? If I create new role, there we go. We need this permission here. These two will be auto-generated, but this one does not. Just for the moment, I will actually save this and then go to the role. So I'm doing some changes now inside of the state machine manually, which is not good because we're actually managing everything using this template file and the corresponding CloudFormation stack, like the infrastructure as code management. What we now have is what's called drift, meaning the configuration that we have provided and what we have actually deployed, because we did say we did do some changes, are different. That's what's called drift, at least in the AWS CloudFormation world. I'm not actually 100% sure how SAM will handle that. Maybe it will just override all the changes. I don't know, but that would be good. That's what we probably want. In here, for now, I want to add a permission, attach a policy. We go to list contexts. Nothing. SES. Some templated, blah, 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 blah. Read only. Read only would suffice, right? Yeah, read only would suffice. That sounds good. Let's take that one just for now. We can make this stricter later, but for the time being, I think we're good. If I now find the place where I actually attach the policies, there it is. And that has done it. Why does it say 0? Ah, that's automatically generated. Okay. So that's done. And now we have the right permissions. And we can just call our function. Am I in the right function? Newsletter daily. Yeah, very good. Do it. And now we should go inside of here again and see that it actually pulls in all the contacts. And there we go in terms of output. Let me copy this, go here. And so we on the one hand have this new blog article, which I will just close, and we have output, we have contacts, and these look like an array, each one having an email address and then some information attached to it. But we unfortunately, these are just fake emails that I created like a couple of minutes ago. Very good. More tea. I need more tea. So with this, our Lambda function now has the information to actually do its work, I think. It of course has to do some transformations, but that's perfectly fine. What does our Lambda function actually need to do? So theoretically, we have something like this. For each contact in contacts, do the following. Email is something like email is contact.email, something like that, right? Then they do have an email, so we don't need that. What we need to do is, in theory, just send email of email together with the, we do have like something like input dot context, right? And then we also have like some input data. So there's more to be defined inside of here, but basically that's it. And this is calling the SES v2 API. That's one way to do it. What we probably want to do, because this is going to be a lot of emails, we do instead, let's see, we chunk. Chunks is equal to something like this, and we need to chunk it by 50 because so AWS SES bulk email, it is not very bulky. Can only handle 50 emails with each API call at once, so it's not very bulky. So we do something like that. In fact, oopsie, nope. We do something actually that looks like more like this. And we will be using Lodash, I already can tell you. So then we have for chunk in chunks. We send the email and we use the input dot let's see, new article. What did we call it? Input dot new blog article. Input dot new blog article. And it also depends on some template config. Oh, some more configuration. This is kind of version A. And this is kind of version 2. We probably want to use this one because, well, having a lot of emails means we have a lot of traffic. And if you want to send 2,000 emails to 2,000 people, then, so if you want to send an email to 2,000 people, then this is 2,000 API calls. Probably not what we want. Here it is at least only 2,000 divided by 50, which is slightly better. It would be nice if you can do more than 50. But yeah, as I said, the bulk email sending is not very bulky. I don't know why. One thing that I actually would like to do additionally, kind of version 3, is for each input we get the attribute data of the contact. The unfortunate part is this is also, we cannot do this in bulk either. So SES, the email service, provides us with a way to save like on the email contact data directly, and send bulk email also provides us with a way to kind of like, while it is a bulk email, each template will instead be filled with contact specific data. The problem being there is no API where we can get all the attribute data in bulk. They just don't have it. When we do, as you can see here, if we do list contacts, it does not contain any attribute data inside of here. I mean, there is some user-specific data, but it does not provide the data that we need. If we, however, do the following, I hope you can see this, AWS SES v2, get contact, for example, this person here, then apparently this person does not, there it is, okay. You see attribute data inside of here, which is not displayed, unfortunately, inside list contacts, which is very annoying. And so I did Twitter them, but unfortunately the AWS support said currently this, at least the person who was on support duty did not know anything out of its head. They did provide the question to the team. But I think, well, judging from what I've read on in the documentation, there is no way to actually get all the get the contact attribute data. So this is kind of version 3, where we have something like this, and then we additionally have enhance data of input.contacts, contact, something like that, and then we call this for each chunk again. That would be the way that I wanted it to do. Then we could inject something like names into the emails and pretty much doing whatever we like without relying on a database in particular. So that would be very nice. Yeah, everything completely handled by AWS SES, but I don't think that's an option at this point. Excuse me. Anyway, let's get into this fun stuff, I think. There's 2 things that I want to check out. We can just use... We can use AWS to... we can use a Lambda function to do the chunking, which is definitely what we are going to do. The question is, how do we send the actual email? And if we're lucky, we can do that again using state machines. Where's my edit state machine? Because there's something that I haven't worked with so far. We can do a map runs up here. Runs parallel sub-workflows to process each item in an array or dataset, and we can use adds parallel branches. I have not tried these just yet. Let's see how these work. We do something like this. Map. Maximum concurrency. Must be a positive integer, maximum 40 recommended. Path to items array. Very good. Specify the JSON node containing the array of items that this map state will iterate over. If unspecified, this map state will use the state's input as is. In our case, it would be something like .output.contacts, right? Was that the contacts in capital? And let's say, well, that should be fine-ish. We need another Lambda function. Which is good. We somehow have to inject this new blog article data inside of here. Well, how do we get transform array items, filter input with input path? I do not see an immediate option to pass some, like, essentially what we want is how do you call this? Not scoping, closure. We want to have the map going over the array, but being able to access the data that is coming out of this new blog article, which is constant for each of the values. I'm not sure whether that's an option. Output is probably not what we need. Filter input with input path. Use a parameters filter to transform each array item before it's processed by the map state. Not quite what we want. Use the input path filter to select a portion of the state input to use. That's not what we want, I think. We already do that basically here. That's annoying. Is there anything else we can... No, there is not. Parallel is something different, right? Yeah, parallel is something different. Let's get rid of view. Come on. Right click not working anymore. Great. Why is right click not working? Delete. Okay. We do not have closure. So what we would need to do... Let's see. What we would need to do... Well, we do have the chunks, right? The output being the chunks. Yeah, I think we can make this work. I think we can make this work by... So, invoke a Lambda function right there. And this is going to be chunk contacts for email sending. So, and the output of this function is going to look as follows. It is going to be... Oh wait, then we need to do just $, I think. It is going to be, or maybe, yeah, chunks. And then we have inside of there the new article. What do we call it? New block article. Which is some object, which is fairly large. But we will copy this one into each of these chunks in fact. Which we can do, absolutely. And then each of these chunks is standalone, so we can use the map state in a very, very simple way. I think that's how we are going to do this. And then we have the context. Which in itself looks something like this. Hello at example.com. And yeah. And a couple of more. No, don't do that. Something is wrong inside of my... Okay. Inside of my function here. .com. I'm using the wrong parentheses, the wrong quotes. Okay, like so, and then we have all the data, and then we have another one. Here we have of 50 contacts up to. this blog article always being duplicated, but then we have the context like so being fairly self-contained. I think that's what we're going to do. So let's create a new Lambda function. Can I use SAM to do that? SAM, AWS SAM, create new Lambda. Well, I guess we just duplicate this directory instead. Bams. Copying. Oh no, did I paste it inside? Where did it go? Okay, very good, very good. Yeah, that's so this is going to be chunk contacts for email sending. Chunk contacts. Well, yeah, chunk contacts. Actually, chunk contacts done. Inside of here, I think we can remove you. We go to app.ts. You, my friend, are going to be somewhat different now. So we don't need Axios. We don't need. We do need this, I think. Do we? Wait. Do we? I think we do. Yeah. RSS item. Done. We don't need any of you. We don't need any of this, for that matter. So now comes the fun part. We have an event that we will be called with. That event being the output of list contacts. So we have something like output. We have something like contacts. And then we have a contact array inside of there. And we have interface contact, which looks like this. Most importantly, one that we actually really care for in our case, come on, is email address. Because we do not use SES for managing contacts in the terms of you're subscribed to this channel, but you're not subscribed to that channel, and the other person is unsubscribed from everything and whatnot. When somebody wants to unsubscribe, they just get completely deleted. And since we only have one channel, there is nothing we don't need to manage topics. There is only one topic. This is going to be string. Done. So, well, that was easier than I expected. And then we have our new blog article question. No, it is defined, and it is an RSS item now, with the pub date now being actually in ISO 8601 format, because we have changed it. Normally RSS feed pub dates, publication dates are not in this nice format. Like this is the 2022-09 1819 T, and then the time 1851 35 Z time zone. So that will be an example of this format. So we call this one item instead, I guess. Yeah. What we return is going to be we are going to return chunks. And the chunks are going to look like what we have here. It is an array, a chunk array, let's call it that. Or maybe contact chunk array. This is again an interface, and we define it to be, well, this has the new block article, which is again the item, or type item. And I need to use semicolon here, I think. Then we have the contacts, which in our case is just a contact array. Are we good? This needs to be a comma. A semicolon, I mean. You need to be a semicolon, you need to be a semicolon. Maybe we just call this interface input. Input. Done. We are going to use you in a minute. Don't be worried. We have chunks, we have contact chunks, which has the item and which has the contacts. Very goodish. Let's delete all of this fun stuff. We don't need it. Return. Let's get right to it. So chunks. We take events.effect. Let's start simple. It is an array. It has a new block article, which is event.newBlockArticle, and it has contacts, which look like this, right? And that's the very basic form. Theoretically, we would have... okay, let's call this email. Which means we cannot use you, but we use you instead. String. hello@example.com. Works. Ship it. Now, let's get... So this is a very, very basic form. We will in a minute add some more code to this, but for that we need to install. So I will first step inside of that function, then do npm. Actually, let me throw out all the stuff that we don't need at this point, which is you and you. Do we need yes build as a dependency? Seriously? Okay, that was there before, so I won't change that, I guess. Yes, build is also doing tree shaking, so it's probably throwing itself out of the production code if it doesn't need to be there. What we want is lodash.chunk, I think, because I don't want to implement that myself. Lodash.chunk npm. Being thus just the chunk function from Lodash. We don't need the complete Lodash, so I'm just going to install this very, very tiny part of Lodash. npm install -d add types /lodash.chunk. Then we can use the chunk function, which does everything for us. And that's why I wanted to do this one here on JavaScript level, and not inside of step functions. So here we do, well, call the function chunk from Lodash. Why? Oops. Import chunk from lodash.chunk. Is it a default export? Apparently it is. Okay. So this function, it receives an array and it receives a size number, And then it returns us with arrays of arrays, which is what we want. So let's see. Essentially what we want, I think, is event.output.context. But and we want to chunk them in sizes of 50. Chunks equals this one. And now we do have to do one more transformation here, I think, which is we map over it. Call this one, let's say just, well, maybe we call it chunk. And it should, let's say return, I think we get auto-completion here. U as well as contacts, which is exactly the chunk, and we only pick the email address out of this specific chunk. Do you work? No. What is missing? Chunks is missing in type. Ah, okay. That's why. Chunks. That should work. TypeScript says everything is good. That should be it. That is the complete Lambda function. Very simple if you know how to, well, if you know of this chunk function from Lodash. And you have all the TypeScript properly set up to just let the auto-completion do its work. So I think that's it for this Lambda function. All right, so we have to somehow deploy our friend here. For that, we go into the template YAML, our SAM template. We pretty much copy all the code from has new blog article. And then we can call this chunk contexts. This is going to be chunk contexts. We don't need an environment variable in this case. We run on Node.js 16, and this needs to be identical. There's probably a better way to have a variable for all the metadata, but at this point I don't really mind. Source map support would be nice, probably. Well, ignore that for now. From here, I think we can, on the one hand, give our state machine the step function, so to say. We can give it the policy to be able to call our new function. Done. The problem is, when we run this is going to be, this will vanish here, our friend. So I think we need to first save. Yeah. You do not exist. Take a pass instead. And you are going to be removed. We just save for now. And then we have this code with a couple of placeholders. What to do? Yeah, I think that's fine. Let's take our list contacts point from here and we go inside our ASL file. Do we want to edit this manually? Last time, like a couple hours ago, when I edited this, it was terrible. I just noticed it's 19 o'clock. I have to do a quick call for like 5 to 10 minutes. I'll be back and then we'll continue on making this one work. I'm not sure how to actually maybe I just copy this one over, and in the meantime we deploy this PAL. Then we have access to this Lambda function here, which we can then reference, or which we can then use again with the editor, and then we backport it once more. I think that's what we're going to do. So for now, I will just say sam validate first. That not found. Go into the right directory, which is the root directory. Sam validate. You cannot see anymore. Where's my camera? There it is. Done. It is valid. Very good. Then we call sam build. We probably want to go once more into chunk context, and we call TypeScript compiler on there. That worked. Very good. And then we want to probably call sam. So the TypeScript compiler is running with no emit, so it didn't do anything. It just type checked, because the sam build does not do the actual type checking. Be aware of that. And now we can call sam deploy. We should see that a new Lambda function should be deployed. And I can say yes, and then I'm going to do the call. Because it takes a moment. We see that we have a new role for the chunk context function. We have a chunk context function itself, the Lambda function. We also update the newsletter SFN role, because we did add the permission, which is our step function, state machine. So it has then permissions to actually call the chunk context function, which is exactly what we need. Do it, and I'll be back in a couple of minutes. See you. Fortunately, the call didn't happen. So I might get called while streaming. Nevertheless, let's continue on here. So that seems to have worked. We should now have a Lambda function inside of here. So I'm in the Lambda console here. We should reload. Should send newsletter chunk contacts function. There we go. Very nice. And we will not be able to actually understand this code because it's just one very, very large line. Very good. Very good indeed. So from there, we can now go back to our... We didn't really deploy the Lambda function, did it? Did it? It didn't. It did it? Wait, what? I actually don't think it did. We have the list contacts inside of there and the placeholder, which is slightly different from what we originally had. But I think we have changed the role. Let's take a quick look. It has SES read-only access. Oh, interesting. So that's interesting. So it did add everything, but it didn't change the stuff that we kind of drifted away. So it still is drifted, which is not sure whether that's a good thing. If you're a DevOps or something, CloudFormation there has an option, CloudFormation detect drift, to detect that since a couple of months or something. I don't know. I think it's fairly new, if I remember correctly. And it checks regularly, or I don't know exactly how it works, but it will then check, oh, what is actually deployed is not what I'm having in the configuration. Something is wrong. Please fix me, or whatever. Right. So now we can go ahead, take our state machine, I think. Go into the state machine editor once more. Do this. Yep, looks good. Go into the editor. And from here we can now invoke the Lambda function, just like so. And we tell it to use our chunk contacts function. Like there. We call this one chunk context. And I think we needed some form of configuration, did we? Did we? Payload, use the state input as payload, very good, yeah. Next stage is going to be the map. Map send, map email sending. Map contacts for email sending. Well, map contacts, done. On the list contacts, we, however, did need some configuration. Is that still the case? Yeah, that's all still there. So I think this might be the configuration that we actually want to deploy. Except we need to do some minor adjustments. Most importantly, we have this function name being templated now. So we inject the resource name, the function name, from our SAM configuration, and we don't hard code it essentially. That's what I'm saying, like so. And somewhere down at the bottom of the C, we should see Lambda invoke, there it is. We need another one right there. This should be something like context function ARN, I think. And we need to provide this from outside, meaning specifically, why is all of this open? Oh, I get the call. I'll be right back. Very good. All right, that one's done. Where was I? I think I have the chunk context function ARN inside of my how do you call this? Contact clipboard. Why? When did that happen again? Like the million. It did that earlier today. And I have no idea why, to be honest. Close all editors. Don't save anyone. Done. I sure hope that I did change this ARN, this ASL, the Amazon State language file for our state machine. We do have an error right here because I forgot to change the old one. Okay, that's better. And now we can go into our template, and up here we have this file inside of the state machine called definition substitution. So when we have inside of this definition here, the ASL JSON that I had open, if we have these template literal strings, kind of JavaScript style, it will look into these substitutions and then take whatever is written to the right here. We do some more stuff. So this is the we get an attribute of this function. So when this is actually running, we are getting, or this will be the Amazon resource name as we need it. My music also stopped working, so we can do now !get attribute u. Okay, that didn't work. And we want not you, we want the other function. There it is. Like so. Done. Done deal. And if we deploy this now, we should be better. We still don't have, so to do permissions to call SES. I think it's list contacts. All right. Let's do some validate first. Whether that works. Are you still with me, by the way? Kind of understand what I'm up to, what I'm doing here. Yeah. Now we can SAM build, so it is valid. We can build it. That seems to have worked. And then we can SAM deploy. Let's see what kind of changes it shows us. It should show changes definitely to the state function. And I think that's all there is. Yeah. So just change the state machine and that's all. Do it. We have like 20 more minutes. And I would like to get this running, in fact. I sure hope we get this running until then. I'm slightly worried about the SES permission, how to get those inside of here. So let's leave for now. And then did it finish? Yeah, created successfully. Let's refresh. Step inside of this daily step function. We look at it once more. We now have chunk contacts inside of there. Very good. I do hope we also have the right Lambda functions for chunk contacts there. Right, perfect. And with that, let's do this. Start a new execution. We don't have any input whatsoever, so that's fine. And look how it flows through the workflow. This is very, very, I gotta admit, it is very, very satisfying to see it flow in this direction. So that seems to have worked. So we did get the blog post, the newest one being from Arpan Garg. What does DevRel stand for? What does DevRel stand for? It's a marketing technique used to ensure that one's company, products, and developers establish a good continuous relationship with external developers. Interesting. Developer relations. Do we have a new article? Yes. So we go into this left branch. We list all the contacts, and we should down here have output.contacts. Perfect. Then we go into the chunk contacts. Inside of here we have chunks, and each one being an object which has the new blog article, and down here a contacts with individual emails. Very good, very good, very good. And then this dude here, it does receive the input, but then it's just a template or a pass, so nothing happens inside of there. Execution failed. Reference path $ must point to an array. Oh, we actually have a mistake inside of there, because the map actually failed before it was. Okay, so there's a difference. No, never mind. The map iteration failed because we did not point it to chunks. We did not point it to chunks. We did not point it to chunks. Where do we have map inside of here? There it is. Map, and I think I am able to say dot chunks right there. I hope. I hope that works. And while we're at it, let us actually see how it works for multiple emails, because currently we only have like one single chunk, which is kind of boring. Let us go back to our application and we just say chunk size is going to be 1 instead. Maybe we just do it const chunk size is equal to b process.env.chunk size which is going to be a to number integer number.parseInteger. Is that what it's? Parse int comma 10, and we do assume that or 50. So then we provide the chunk size right there, and just to make it slightly more interesting, we provide this as an environment variable inside of here, if I'm not mistaken. We call it chunk size, and we say this is going to be string 50. Done. Wait. I want to have chunk size 1 for the time being. To do set to 50 in production. Now let's cd chunk context and TypeScript. Just check the TypeScript types. That looks good. Now we call sam build in the root directory, and we call sam validate just to be sure. Looking good. And then sam deploy. Do it. Phew. It's going to be great. So the two things that we changed now is that we actually have we pick the right array or the right property for the mapping, so that we can map over this and call the placeholder, currently the placeholder, with the arrays. And I also changed it so that this output will not be just one array, one large value within this chunk array. Sorry, entry within this chunk array. But instead it will be 2. One for this first email and one for this second email. It's going to be great. I'm fairly positive. So it does change the function and the state machine. Very, very good. Should be fairly quick because it's just modifications. It's no redeployment. That's that. Let's go up here. Start an execution. Do it. And let's lay back and see how things turn green. That at least worked. This one was cancelled again. Pass state entered. Oh, do I do anything with this pass state? I think the mapping actually worked. Yeah, the mapping actually worked. I think I've messed up the pass, which is kind of ridiculous. I messed up the do nothing. Yeah, because I'm doing transformations here, which I don't want to do anymore. Let's check map states. Inside of the map, we do not do any parameter transformation here. Let me see the definition. Yeah, very nice. It actually jumps to the right position. That's nice. That's a nice feature. Nice detail. It looks like this. And I'm fairly sure that this is alrightish, so I'm just going to be sam build, and then sam deploy again, sam deploy, do it. Dum, dum, dum. And this time, it'll be great. And once we've done that, we can send the actual email, which means we transform everything into we probably do some parameter transformations, maybe even on a Lambda level, and then because it's just more comfortable on the on JavaScript level instead of doing it inside of the step functions, and then we are going to call bulk email, send bulk email. Yeah, that's the one that we want to call. Did it work? Yeah, deployment worked. Let's cancel this. Leave. Go back to our state function. There was an error loading the defaults, the details. Okay, this time it worked. Not sure what that was about. Do another execution. And let's look at things turning green. Hey, homeless. We look at things turning green. I'm doing good. We're doing a lot of streaming today. Look at it. It's green. Woo! I'm currently, so earlier today and again here in the evening, I'm working on the checking whether we should send an email and then sending the email workflow. And we're pretty far in, I think. We do already check whether there is a new blog post within the last 24 minutes and transform that into, last 24 hours, and transform this newest entry into something that we can work with more easily. Then we make a decision. Well, if there is no new blog post, there is nothing to do, so we just end. Otherwise, we get all the context, we chunk those contexts because the API that we're using, sending bulk email, is not very bulky. It can only send 50 emails at once, which is like, okay, yeah, I have like 100,000 subscribers, let's say. Not very, very bulky. But once we have these chunks, we are now using the step functions mapping to call a function or something multiple times, like you would with JavaScript map. So what we have as input into the whole thing is this chunk, which is an array of stuff. Let's see. It is an array with 2 entries at this point: language, mode, JSON. So as you can see, 2 entries. On the one hand, so we always duplicate this new blog article property, which is the data from the new article. In this case, I'm using the dev.to RSS feed. And in this case, it's an article from written by Arpan Garg. And the title is, what does DevRel stand for? Homeless, what does DevRel stand for? So developer relations, also known as DevRel, is a professional field which helps companies connect with software developers and help them be more successful with a given software, technology, or companies. So I think this very much goes into the direction of like, well, the pinnacle of this being the, what do you call these? Developer advocates? These people who are the developers, which are basically the face for your company in terms of helping other developers use your product. Apparently that there's a complete discipline for this called DevRel, or developer relations. I didn't know about this myself until I basically had this blog article RSS feed in our workflow. So what we see here is, on the one hand, this article with all its data. It is the newest one. We make sure that it is the newest one, and then later we will use this data to actually send an email. And we see the context chunked into typically chunks of 50 emails. Currently I only have like 2 emails inside of there. So I set the chunk size to instead be 1, so that I have at least two chunks in this upper one. And now we can send a templated email to all of these people inside of the context array using the data from our new blog article, like the title and the link, to directly link them to the right article on our blog with just one button click from within the email. So that seems to have worked. And currently inside of there, I don't do anything just yet. It is currently a placeholder. But so far, so good. This looks very, very promising. Now to you. How are you doing today? Good to see you back in. I will have to jump out in like 20 minutes though, unfortunately. So I don't know how far we can get from here. Now we have to basically have a kind of sub workflow inside of this map. So the map looks like this, by the way. If we go into the workflow studio, we have this map state, and inside of there we have another state machine, so to say. You're doing great. Very good, very good, very good. Did something good happen? Maybe you have kind of a win of the week or win of the day. Win of the week would be very, very fast. It's only Monday. Win of the day. So, now, what do we need to do? I think what we want to do is we want to call send bulk email this here. The problem being, send bulk email has a very, very specific kind of format that we have to provide. We also have to set up the email template now that I think about it. So I probably will not use, well, I mean, state machine intrinsic functions. We do have some functions with which we could do some transformations, but I think they are limited. We cannot map over anything if I'm not mistaken, and we will need to map over stuff. Yeah. Array contain. Next week I go to France, Etretat, to do some hiking there. Wow, very nice. France, Etretat. Don't know how to pronounce it properly. Doesn't that look beautiful? I love cliffs. Once I'm back from Japan, I will in fact try to move to Ireland for a few months with my wife. And I want to see a lot of cliffs there as well. Oh, is that... Wow, that's amazing. Also, look at the water. It's so blue. It just says, I'm blue. Die. Ah. Very nice. Cliff of Etretat. Does Etretat mean anything? Maritime. No, okay. At least not obviously. Beautiful white cliffs, clean water, nice colors. Very nice, very nice. And a great hiking path, apparently, along the cliffs. Be careful, always be careful. In particular, I hope for very, very good weather. Fingers crossed, or in Germany you press your thumbs. In Poland, apparently you do too. Very nice, very nice, very nice. Yeah, enjoy. And you kind of booked the trip just now, or you decided to do the trip today? It's a bit windy. Yeah, I can imagine. I can absolutely imagine. It is windiness in the inner country is something completely different than windiness at the seaside. In Germany we say it's stifle breather. I come from the north originally, so water is like and in northern Germany you actually have water, by the way. You did go there once 2 years ago. Very nice. Yeah, I do remember I did already go to Ireland once, and we went to... I forgot where it was. Most western point. Was it there? Kind of. That was not it. That's definitely not it. I don't know. Somewhere, Cliffs of Moher. That one we definitely saw, which are also like, wow. And they are huge. Seriously, this is like 100 meters or something. I forgot the exact number, but this is. I have a little bit of fright of height. Have you been there? North Hamburg? No, on the other side. In just a very, very, very small, like in pretty close to Poland. You want to go to Cliffs of Moher? It is amazing. We had a very, very windy day. I remember when we were at the Cliffs of Moher. We also had a nice day. That wasn't where we weren't. We were hiking a bit here, but it was very, very windy and also rainy that day. Ireland's weather is terrible. Every 15 minutes you have sunshine. 50 minutes later you have complete rain. The pictures look beautiful, but they don't tell you that 50 minutes later it was like total rain and you weren't able to see anything. It comes with a lot of fog as well. But I forgot where we stopped. I think we were here as well. Anchor Beach. No, we weren't there. I forgot the exact place. Was it Duncan? Dunmore? I don't remember. And they made it into Duncan. Interesting. Dunker, I guess. Duncan here. The language is very, very interesting. Jolene, Baltimore. We were definitely in Cork. I forgot. It's been like 10, 12 years by now. It is a beautiful country. France, the southern part of France is very, very beautiful as well. Although I haven't been there, a friend of mine is going there again and again. Mountains, lakes, yeah, I feel you. I did a lot of hiking in Japan. Basically, you're always surrounded by mountains, which is very, very nice. You cannot really walk the seaside, however. Stretching, Redivi. Hey, welcome back. Good to see you again. Let's do a quick stretch. In Japan, you cannot really walk on the seaside much because most of it is actually used. Whenever there is actually a place where you can settle, people do settle there. One place that I can suggest if you ever go to Japan, I think we will finish the stream without any coding at this point. Have you seen Kiki's delivery service? The movie from Studio Ghibli. Kiki's delivery service. Very, very cute. Very, very nice story of kind of becoming an adult in a sense also. And Kiki is very much inspired by this island, pretty much. So Tokyo is there. Osaka and Kyoto are there. You might know Hiroshima probably from the terrible things in World War II. And in the middle between Osaka and Hiroshima, you find Shodo Island. And this is the island that actually inspired Kiki's delivery service. They are very, very famous for their ramen noodles. And they have an amazing view. Can I find this ever so quickly? So there is a very, 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 very large path that you can walk upwards, and it's very, very hot because basically the summers in Japan are very, very hot and wet as well. But if you go there, you see this kind of countryside. You can also look towards the and inside of there, yeah, this is one of the views. the amazing ones that I do remember. So this is the small city that we lived in, and it's pricey. It's way the prices are fairly low because not many people go there. You have to go there by ship. So you take a ship from Osaka, and then like 2 hours or something, or 3 hours, and then you're there. And if you take an Airbnb from there, it is very, very nice. You have a complete house for yourself, basically, and can do whatever you want. Be careful. You probably want to have a bike, though, if you go there. I do speak Japanese fluently, in fact. And inside of here, they have a seriously amazing temple inside of the mountain. It is like this kind of... It is inside of a cave, and they carved inside of this cave this kind of temple. It is amazing. It is amazing to see. Seriously. If you ever have the chance to go there, and you have enough, you feel well enough to be able to actually walk this path, because it is quite a path, seriously. You will be like, oh my goodness. So much sweat I've never seen before in my life. But it is an amazing place to visit if you ever have the chance. People are nice. You probably need to have a guide though, because nobody is able to speak English. I don't think. Oh no, where's the... this is the one that I visited. Look at it. It's inside of the cave. Inside of the mountain, really. Entrenched into it. And then you have this kind of temple. Which looks like it could be directly from Sekiro. Seriously. So Sekiro being the Dark Souls. It is incredible. Temple inside mountain. I don't know. Yeah, this is one of the temples, and it looks very, very similar. It's slightly smaller, of course, than the one in Sekiro. They also have like these kind of weird formations. Oh, I want to go there again. I'm looking forward to it. If everything goes all right, I'll be there on 5th October. Not on Shidoshima, but in Japan. Look at it. It's inside the mountain. And you can actually go inside of there. Don't fret if you wondered. You can actually go inside of there. But they probably didn't make any pictures inside because it's a Buddhist temple. So typically you also don't make images of temples indoors, right? To show respect to the local gods. But it is amazing. Can't wait. Getting all excited. Yeah, it is. So ReDB, to give you a small look into what we did. We now have a workflow that, well, if you remember, we checked whether we have a blog within a new article within the last 24 hours. And if that is the case, now the placeholder is replaced ever so slightly. We now list all the contacts which we have, which gives us a list similar to... Do I still have this open? Unfortunately not. Basically the list of emails. We then chunk these emails because we will call the API send bulk email later on. And it is not very bulky. You can only send 50 emails at once. Well, so we chunk our contacts in slices of 50, and then we use the map state, which is an inbuilt thing from from AWS step functions, which you find here under flow, you can map. You give it an array value, in this case so input.chunks. I did wrap it with the array with a JSON property called chunk, and this it handles the parallelity. So you can see here we have like maximum concurrency. If we wanted to say something, do not send all of them at the same time, because let's say send bulk email actually limits your API. In that case, you can say like, okay, I only want 3 parallel iterations at the same time, so like 150 emails processed at the same time, which is very, very comfortable. We don't have to actually manage anything of this kind ourselves. And then we probably need some form of transformation. Transform for send bulk email. And once we have that, we can actually send the bulk email, because and I will probably do this with the help of a Lambda function next time. Why not with the help of just a pass, which we could use to transform data? Because I don't think the transform is strong enough in sense of being capable enough of mapping state from here to there and reforming it there and doing like this, so that it is actually in the right format to be used in send bulk format. So this is going to be next time via a Lambda function. Very, very simple one, I think. Similar to this one. This is also very, very simple Lambda function. It is like once you look at it, it is 3 lines, 5 lines, 7 apparently. While this one is actually optional. We use the chunk function from Lodash. We're finished, actually. And this will be very, very similar. The fun stuff, the fun part that we still have to do is getting the right permissions onto this step function to actually access list contacts and send bulk emails. So this is going to be next time. I already marked this somewhere. To do permissions and to do permissions to call SES. What is it called? Send bulk email. Mail. And we will also set up the email template using the data that we get from the newsletter. So look forward to that. Thank you so much for joining. If you've liked what you've seen, feel free to follow. This is the TypeScript Tea Time. I'm your host, Mirko, or this was the TypeScript Tea Time for today. Tomorrow, I'm not sure whether I will be there. Maybe in the evening. Maybe in the morning, maybe in the very, very evening. During midday, I have some stuff to do. All right. With that, I thank you so much for joining. Hope to see you next time in the TypeScript Tea Time. Goodbye, everybody. Let's see whether we can rate somebody. Maybe Finet is online? No, he is not. We can go into the... Would you like to do DevOps, or would you like to do JavaScript or in TypeScript? You have to do interviews tomorrow. Oh, good luck on that. Right. Fingers crossed. Let's go to... Well, we haven't rated Irish John games ever. Let's go to him, I think. So, thank you so much. Let me find the name. Like this. Goodbye, everybody.
TSANYS joined our tea time.